The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Wonders they say shall never cease to happen in Africa. But this time around, we need to allow these people to understand that the African is no longer sleeping. Africa is not a jungle. It is the most valuable chessboard on the planet. And right now, the pieces are moving faster than the eye can see. In Ghana, a story is trending. A man supposedly Russian filming our sisters in secret. The outrage is loud. The ministers are shouting. The gender activists are weeping. Because nobody will ever want to see this happen to an African. But wait, why now? Why? In the same week that the West gathers in Munich to plan how to save Africa from Russian influence, does this specific scandal expose? Is this about the dignity of the African women? Or is it a psychological operation designed to make you hate the one country that is challenging the old masters? We need to ask ourselves questions. Why is this news making headlines as if this is the only thing that has ever happened in Africa? I am a woman, don't get me wrong. And if it should happen to me, I wouldn't like it. Let's look at the facts they aren't telling you. The Russian ambassador to Ghana was summoned. He looked at the evidence and dropped a bombshell. He said, the name this man is using is not a Russian name. Who is this man? If his name isn't Russian and his origins are murky, why is the media shouting Russian man in every headline? Think, we have had thousands of Western terrorists, NGO workers, and volunteers coming to our beaches for 60 years. They have filmed things far worse. They have exploited our children. They have taken poverty porn to raise billions for their organization while our women were treated like objects. Where was the Minister of Information then? Why weren't the gender minister crying for justice when the perpetrators had French or British accents? Why target this man by his nationality and not deal with the person even when nothing has been proven that he is a Russian? They are not looking for this person because according to report, he has spread a lot of things and Russia is ready to help Ghana. This is not a coincidence. This is a plant. Marco Rubio stood in Munich and told the world that the West must fight a war of information. He said Russia and China are winning the hearts of Africans. How do you stop a heart from loving? You create a monster. If you can't defeat Russia's military help in the Sahel or China's infrastructure in the south, you attack their character. You find or create a villain. You give him a camera. You give him a fake name. And you tell the African people, see, this is your new friend. He is worse than we were. This is all that is about. If not, why didn't they even wait to make sure they find out who this person really is?
Time for an adventure with the beautiful Kenyan ladies, so let's enjoy this incredible journey together.
Africans, when are we ever going to learn to defend our own? A Russian man comes to Africa, sleeps with hundreds of our women, and posts it online. And just as expected, we Africans too easily bought the narrative he tried to sell to the world about our women. We repeat the same tired lines. I don't blame the Russian guy. African women are cheap. They love money. They chase foreign men. We didn't just believe the narrative, we amplified it. But pause. If someone secretly records intimate acts and posts them online, the first issue here is consent. That's violation. That's exploitation. That's unethical and often illegal. Yet what happens? Blame shifts to women. Let's talk reality. History matters. Colonial legacy, economic inequality, passport privilege. When someone from a country considered rich enters one considered poor, not only in Africa but anywhere, there is a power imbalance. Money and mobility create influence. That does not erase personal responsibility, don't get me wrong, but ignoring these dynamics and blaming women, that's lazy and intellectually dishonest. One man's action do not define millions of African women, and turning intimacy into body counts, secretly filming people for views, there is nothing admirable about that. Criticize behavior, call out exploitation. Stereotypes are the refuge of lazy thinking. Thank you for watching.
Apparently, this Russian man who was in Ghana approaching women and videoing the entire encounter and posting it online, he did not just do that in Ghana. I think he's done that in other African countries as well, including Kenya. I believe that this social experiment by this Russian man provides the opportunity for all of us to have this needed discussion as Africans and as Black people. You see, a lot of us Africans and Black people do not understand the impact and the deep-rooted layers when it comes to understanding colonialism and slavery. Colonialism and slavery was not just a physical harm that was done to our ancestors. Colonialism and slavery was a spiritual capture. It was a spiritual destabilization. It was a mental or a psychological destabilization and an emotional destabilization in addition to the physical manifestations. And this provides the opportunity for us to have this needed conversation about how Africans, we have deep rooted levels of internalized inferiority and internalized racism, and how we as Africans and Black people uphold white supremacy and white privilege. So how does this concept of internalized racism and internalized inferiority manifest? Even on TikTok, you just need to see a white person, an Asian person, go out there, go try African food, record it, and you will see Africans. You start hailing them. Let a white person, an Asian person, or an Arab person dance to Afrobeats or African music, and they can dance really well. And you will see all Africans in the comment section hailing them, giving them different types of African names. These are the ways we manifest our internalized racism and our internalized inferiority. You go to Ghana, and they have an association of the wives of white men, and they post content on social media. And when you go to their comment section, you would see a lot of Ghanaian women, me too, I want to marry a white man. But you will never see Asian women, white women, Arab women married to African men or Black men have an association for the wives of Black men or the wives of African men. And that is how inferior we feel as Black women and African women. In Ghana, there are many people who are celebrities simply because they have a foreign accent. All you have to do if you want to be famous in Ghana is to have a foreign accent. And you don't even need to speak good English that is grammatically correct. You just need to have a foreign accent and you'll be popular in Ghana, Nigeria, and other African countries. Most African men and Black men will do anything to have a light-skinned woman or a biracial woman. And that is the reason why you consistently see African men and Black men talk down on African women or Black women with pure African phenotype or pure African features. Because of the relics of colonialism and slavery, we as Black people and Africans, we see light skin as more beautiful. And that is the reason why there is pervasive skin bleaching on the continent of Africa. As African women, our obsession with human hair and straight hair and all these wigs are connected to our internalized inferiority and internalized racism, and I am also guilty of that. Last but not the least, look at the way African Christians behave. They will attack anybody who is even making an objective point when it comes to Christianity. Most of us Africans grew up with the image or the picture of the white Jesus in our homes. And you think that we will grow up and unconsciously we will not have a deep-rooted inferiority because our savior looks like a white man. What is my point? For those of you saying that the white Russian man hypnotized these African women and charmed them for them to follow him, he did not. Because as African people and black people, we unconsciously or consciously worship white people and whiteness and what whiteness represents, and that is the truth. So until we are willing to have this conversation on the impact and the layers of damage that was done to us due to colonialism and slavery, we will not be free. Colonialism and slavery was not a physical harm. It was a spiritual harm, a psychological harm, and an emotional harm. And we must also understand the concept of intergenerational trauma. Even though I was not colonized or enslaved, our ancestors passed on those trauma and those internalized inferiority traits to us. And so we inherited it, and deep in our psychology, we have internalized racism, which is a deep-rooted inferiority, and we elevate, worship, and uphold everything that is white. My name is Dr. Zita. I'm a sociologist. Dear Africans, it is time to decolonize. This Russian man's social experiment with African women is an indication that we still have a lot of deep-rooted unlearning to do and to decolonize. If you're not following, guess what? Hit the follow button.
They thought we have forgotten history because they believe that the African has forgotten what they did in the 1960s and what they are still doing to us. They think we have forgotten history. They think we don't remember the mercenaries they sent to unalive Lumumba. They think we don't remember how they use NGOs to map our resources while pretending to give us vaccines. This Russian scandal in Ghana is a page from the old playbook. It's called Demoralization. If they can make the Ghanaian youth disgusted by Russia, they can drive us back into the arms of the people who colonized us. They are terrified that the upright men of the Sahel are inspiring the rest of Africa. They want to unalive their spirits with a scandal. But this time, we will not allow them. They can never make us to stop loving the nation that hasn't colonized us. We haven't forgotten about the 12,000 ships that carried us away and what we are still suffering in their hands. We are in the information era. Who controls the screens controls the mind. The West has realized that Africa is slipping away. The BRICS are rising. Their dollar is shaking. So they have unleashed the NGOs. They have unleashed the fact checker. Do not fall for the trap. Ask yourself, why did this man film the videos? Why were they leaked exactly now? Why is the government of Ghana reacting with such speed when they usually take months to fix a pothole? It is a performance. It is a theater of the mind. And we don't need to fall for it. Because it takes these politicians months, years to fix an ordinary pothole. Hardship here and there, demonstrations here and there. But our people are so quick to react to this particular Russian issue. To our sisters in Ghana, your dignity is sacred. Any man who violates it must be punished. But do not let your pain be used as a weapon in a white man's war. If he is a criminal, jail him. But don't let them tell you his nationality is the reason. Because while we are distracted by one man and a camera, they are signing away our gold, our soil, and our future in the boardrooms in Munich and Washington. Africa is waking up. We see the strings, we see the puppet masters. And this time, we aren't following the script. Because we have followed the script for a very long time. And following their narrative is what has kept the African backwards. We must let these people understand that this is not the time they can come here and treat us like children anymore. We need to fight back by standing with the Sahel. Because if they succeed in moving you away from Russia, they have succeeded in moving you away from the Sahel. And they've seen that the Sahel is spreading everywhere. In the heart of Africa, all that you hear is the Sahel. And Sahel is linked to Russia. So if you allow or believe the trap of these people, you are fighting against your own salvation, your own liberation, and your own freedom. The black winter, the deadly cold that are all in all spoke about, all these things are part. We shouldn't be expecting to see only that. No, all these are part of the dark winter, the black winter Captain Ibrahim Traore are all in all the savior spoke about. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided before, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Ghana.